Good day, ILUMSITES. This is ILUMSA Illuminate. This happens to be our final interview, and today we have the 39th president of the Ilorin University Medical Student Association, ILUMSA, here today, Abiodun Michael, also known as the Colossal.
Thank you so much.
It's a privilege to have you here
It's a
today.
privilege to be here also.
We hope to talk about the gains of the administration so far, the challenges you faced, and then what's next in the future. I have some questions here, and I would love to start with how did your journey in ILUMSA? How did it start?
Thank you very much. Before I start on that, let me also once again reiterate the fact that it's a great privilege to be here, and also commend the work that the editorial committee is doing. And it's even an honor to be interviewed by the editor-in-chief himself. So I know we would have a
I feel privileged.
we have a very wonderful time communicating. So how my journey in ILUMSA started. Let me start by saying the first time I had contact with ILUMSA was as an 100 level student. That was I gained admission October 2015. Then I recall the then president, that was Dr. Dayo Aladina. He came alongside some ILUMSA executives to the permanent site to see medical students, and then they talked to us, and there was a lot of positives taken from that meeting, and I was just so inspired that we had seniors at that time who cared about us. And so I really liked the way the president and the whole executives addressed us. So I had it in my mind that this ILUMSA, I want to know more about it, and even the possibility of becoming president of ILUMSA. That was the first time. Yes, from 100 level.
Oh,
from
really?
100 level. But then at that point, it looked like something impossible because I was not interested in politics. Obviously, all my life I've been in leadership. I've been head boy, primary, secondary school, and whatnot. But at that point in time, I wanted to just focus on my book. You know, the idea of when you get into medical school, just read your book and all. So I did not think it was possible at the time, but I really thought about it that becoming president of ILUMSA. So entering into 200 level, then in 100 level I was active in CMDA as the academic secretary. So I was quite popular among my fellow classmates. Then some persons at the time felt I was handsome too, so I was relatively popular. But when I got into 200 level during the break, I now began to. I read a lot of books then, and I saw that I would want to do more than just academics as an undergraduate. So that was why I took the first step that I wanted to be the assistant general secretary of ILUMSA. Yes, that was my first foray into ILUMSA politics. Before then, I now met with various persons. If you recall the way the political atmosphere then was in ILUMSA,
it was quite hostile.
Yes,
I
exactly.
remember.
But I talked to a lot of persons. From Dr. Salifu Wesley to even Dr. Anima Shaun, a lot of persons about ILUMSA, and I got various perspectives. But that was how my journey started. Then from assistant general secretary to becoming a senator in 300 level. What informed my desire to enter into the ILUMSA Senate at the time was because, if you recall, there was a lot of controversy attached to the ILUMSA elections at the time because of the constitution. So I wanted to be involved in the process of constitution review. When I entered as a senator for my constituency, then we had a new constitution. Then I won the award of Senator of the Year as a 300 level student in ILUMSA. So that led me to wanting to become the Senate president in 400 level, so as to enshrine this our new sacrosanct rule of law. And then, as it is now, in 500 level, I became the president. So it was just a process for me, and it's not been exactly a rosy journey, but I'm very, very much satisfied with how far I've come.
I can say you've like tasted the ILUMSA politics in its entirety.
Yes,
Almost.
Yes.
That means you're well seasoned. Nothing's new.
I can say that.
Although you're not vice president. Anyway. In ILUMSA, what do you think you will be remembered for? This interview, ILUMSITES, 10 years will come, 20 years will fly by. What do you think people will remember you for, alongside generally?
I think it's just one word, is impact. Impact. I want to be remembered for impact. When we had an interview early on in the administration, when we were asked, okay, at the end of our tenure, what do we seek to achieve? And I said, for me, I hope to leave indelible marks in the life of every site, one way or the other. So, and I think we've been able to do that as a team, because I do not want to ascribe any honor to myself in particular. I think the team has been very solid, and I was very privileged in the sense that before entering into the office of president, I had an idea of the kind of people I want to work with. There are some persons that I personally impressed on them to come into work in the administration. One of them is even our editor in chief too. You understand? Because I know that one man cannot do the work we have to do, and I'm glad that we've been able to do a lot for ILUMSA, because the time we assumed office, we were faced with various challenges that I can say are quite unprecedented in the history of ILUMSA, starting from the incessant strike that we've not had in close to 19 years plus, then NAD, MD can strike and all. But we've been able to surmount these challenges, and then we have still been able to offer value to our members. So I think we've really made impact as an administration, and that is what I know we'll be remembered for.
All right. That's nice. Now, I want to talk on the ILUMSA merchandise committee. Of course, I've also been at ILUMSA for the past 6 years now. I don't think I've really heard about the ILUMSA merchandise committee till recent. Did it exist? Was it just created under your administration?
Okay. The ILUMSA merchandise committee started under President Afolabi Great's administration as an ad hoc committee. That was the first time I know that we had something like that. And then this year, as you can see, it became even a bigger committee, such that in the coming constitution, it will become a standing committee in ILUMSA. Because we saw the need that, for example, I interact with a lot of other presidents in various associations, whether Nigeria Medical Student Association, or maybe physiotherapists and whatnot. And then I see the amount they make in terms of from dues directly from their members. But for us, each ILUMSITE pays a paltry sum of 300 naira as dues. And when you compare that to the total student population of about 1,000 plus, that's like an administration is meant to survive on just 300,000 naira in a year. Meanwhile, the budget for the health week alone is over 2 million naira. So how do we survive? It is important that we create effective cash flow systems, and that's the idea for the merchandise committee. And I'm glad that we have been able to do a lot this year with the committee, so that moving forward, successive administrations would also improve on our gains.
I believe former President Greats must be so happy.
Yes.
You promised consolidation.
Yes, I think
that means the ILUMSA merchandise committee was consolidated.
Yes, sir.
It's very, very beautiful.
Thank you very much.
Taking a stroll to the academic committee of ILUMSA, I think new things also happened during this administration.
Yes.
Can you please bring them to air again?
All right, thank you very much. To start with, I want to commend the academic committee chairman in the person of Oyemi Phillips. Let me also mention the merchandise committee chairman. I think I did not mention Alabi Princess also. So for the academic committee chairman, academic committee, I recall doing my manifesto, I stated something that I really wanted us to do at the time, and that was the academic manual for the preclinical classes. Because I discovered that entering into college, there's a lot of orientations going around. Everybody has something to say. But then it is important that as an association, we're able to filter this information, and then what we know actually works. Let's put it together in a document such that our students in junior levels would be able to maximize this information and do better in their academics. So I discussed it then with Philip, even before I became president, and then he was open to the idea. And so when we started the administration, I disturbed him a lot. And luckily for us, the COVID also gave us the opportunity, and I can say that we were able to publish the first ILUMSA academic manual for our 100 level and 200 level students respectively.
That was great.
We are not just we published, we also gave copies out to the junior classes. And when I discussed it with even the executive advisors of ILUMSA, they were really impressed with the idea, because it shows that as an administration, we are not just doing what we are doing for funfair. We're actually highlighting issues that are most pertinent to our members, and we are resolving them. Then secondly is in the area of orientation. I think this year we've done way better, because the number of attendance we have in our orientation programs, in our steeplechase examinations, our mock. Since I've been active in ILUMSA, we've not had so many. I recall for the 100 level, we had over 150 students attend. For the 200 level, we had close to 200 students attend our orientation. And that shows that we are able to bring our people together, and they trust that though they get information from various quarters, but what ILUMSA is actually doing for them, they know that it is quality, and that is the only reason to explain that level of participation. So we've done a lot actually.
That's
the
nice.
academic
That's
committee.
nice. And one reason why I think in the academic committee is important is that there's these mock exams, mock tests they do, which helps to relieve some sort of pressure of students, and I'm sure they will remain grateful to the administration for making sure that's also held well.
Exactly.
Let's take it straight to the sports committee.
Okay.
In fact, I think the sports committee. Let me allow you to talk about the sports committee.
Thank you very much. So the sports committee this year, I've been very, very impressed with them, because I can say that we have worked a lot with limited resources. That's one of the wonderful things about this administration. At the start of the year, we had during the lockdown, in fact, the sports committee were having various programs that were channeled towards empowering our students, helping them ease the pressure of the medical school, and even during the lockdown also. We had a series of chess competitions. We founded the ILUMSA Chess Club, which is actively functioning. In fact, now it has made our work easy, because when we had the ongoing ILUMSA games now, the chess club just handled the chess aspect of the competition, because it is that solid. Then we also had various we had Call of Duty competitions, we had football PS competition. Then early on in January, we had a webinar focused on sports medicine, where we invited one of our past ILUMSA leader, the former sports secretary of ILUMSA, that's Dr. Ayo Olarinoye, who is the first FIFA certified control doping officer. And he spoke to our members on the prospect of sports medicine. In that webinar, he also pledged to support ILUMSA yearly with the sum of 100,000 naira for sports competition, and also take on 1 or 2 ILUMSITES in his company, so as to learn the basics of sports medicine. And now, so we have some members who are interning with him, and the money as promised also is now available, such that it is now going to be a yearly contribution to the association. And then we also had the Professor Akonde mini marathon this year, and the program was very, very impressive as always. This year also, Prof. Akonde was particularly impressed with the level of coordination, such that he added to what initially donated for the program, and he was really, really effusive in his praise of the committee. Then the ongoing ILUMSA games also has been very spectacular, and I think one thing that made it even more impressive is the fact that due to the NAD strike that happened, there were a lot of instability in the calendar, such that so many things were happening at the same time, different classes writing exams. I think if it was any other administration, they would have considered the possibility of not having the games again, and because finances was not exactly available. So what the committee instead did was that we had the games in such a way that they were holding at various times, but then the goal would be that the final would hold concurrently. And so far, the members have been pleased with it. Our football games have even come with a new mix, such that they are interview for coaches, which the editorial team well handled. Then for the basketball, also holding our chess, lawn tennis and whatnot. So I think we've done a lot. I know if I'm to speak in depth on every committee, we won't leave here today, but really the sports committee have done a lot.
That means one thing is very clear at the end of the day, you are indeed a proud president.
Yes.
And a lot will speak for you. Let me ask you, what are the challenges you faced? Which one was the most difficult, if there is?
How many minutes do I have to talk about this challenge?
Just be brief, very brief.
Well, let me start by saying that the first challenge we faced entering into office, like when I talked about my history in ILUMSA, obviously I'm not a novice. I have a very solid understanding of the working of the association. So I had a clear plan in my mind entering into office. But the first challenge we faced was that during the process of transition, COVID happened. Now, when COVID happened, normally you are meant to transfer signatory from the past administration to the incoming one. But then due to COVID, we all had to go home. The president had to go home. Everybody was inaccessible. There was lockdown, so no one could go anywhere. Meaning, we did not have access to the funds of the association throughout 2020 till like May or June 2021.
No money, no funds.
There was no funds at all. So we had to be working out of pocket, and I spent a lot of my personal money, and I know a lot of persons who also helped us in a lot of ways. Because during the lockdown, we are still able to have a series of programs, and we are still actively involved in the life of our members. So that was a major challenge to start with. Then the other second challenge was in terms of the dues we even received now this year. I talked about the 300,000. And because our students do not even pay school fees at the same time, you know that for those of us in clinical classes, we just paid our 500 level fee sometimes in August.
Yes.
Meanwhile, we became 500 level student as far back as I think October, November 2019.
The previous year.
Yes, exactly. So the first due we got from the union was about 184,000 plus the 140,000 we met while we entered into office. So that was roughly about 300 plus, and we did not even have access to that. Meanwhile, our previous administration had from the union about 1 point something million naira. So that is a very large,
very wide gap
in terms of the dues received. But then at the end of it, so we had, and you cannot give excuses. I always tell people something that now I can talk about this because we have already done relatively well, and so I can talk about these challenges. But if we are to say that we did not receive enough money, that is why we could not do what, yes, that means you are a failure, and that is not what we promised ILUMSITES. Because look at it, if you had to welfare every class from 200 level to 600 level during major exams, you will spend close to 150, 200, 300,000 already. And yet you are still expected to have a lot of programs during the course of the year. So how do you do that? So we had a lot of financial challenges. But one way or the other, we were able to surmount these challenges. That was why the merchandise committee was really instrumental to this one. And then the will of members also. We reached out to a lot of alumni who were really supportive. I think I would really want to talk about that too. So that helped us in a lot of ways. Secondly was that when we entered office also was when the MDCAN strike, the Medical Dental Consultant Association Nigeria strike started. At this point, I would want to commend Professor Ade Boye Man, MAN, the only man in pediatrics. He was really supportive. As the chairman of MDCAN, I was so surprised the way he involved me at that point in time, because he called me, explained a lot to me, even invited me to their inner meetings also. And I was just the only small medical student among these grey-haired professors. But it just made me understand a lot of things also about what was going on, and provided that leadership. That way also I was able to provide confidence to my members. Then when the MDCAN strike was clearing off, the 2 weeks ASU strike started. After the 2 weeks ASU strike, we now had to deal with COVID. We all had to go home. So for any administration just entering in, that could have made you just shut down your activities for the year, and then say that when you resume, you just have your election and move on. But I think for us, we are still able to work despite these challenges. we are still able to launch programs, to start reaching out to various persons, contact